Hello and welcome to Social Media for Humans, the podcast that empowers you to do social differently. Your host, Alexis Bushnell, and her guests discuss their experience of social media as business owners, users, and ultimately humans, with insights and advice to help you find an effective and ethical strategy that works for you. Grab yourself a drink and join the conversation.
Hello. I'm here with fabulous Noleen, who is looking very glamorous as always. So would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Hi, Alexis, and thank you for that lovely intro, by the way. So my name is Noleen Sliney. I'm she, her, and I'm a former Treasury Analyst turned international organic makeup artist. I am the founder of Natural Beauty Society, the creator of How to Look Your Virtual Best on Zoom, and I'm a judge in the Natural Health Beauty Awards. And I've been called the Organic Makeup Queen by Natural Health magazine. I was also named a top beauty eco-influencer. And really what I do is I work with people, men and women, so it's not just women, but it's not always men, but sometimes men, and I work virtually with them to really help them to show up powerfully and confidently for success in business and in life. So one of the ways I help them, for example, is helping them create their on-camera leadership look, which, we're all on camera now. So everybody, needs to kind of show up as their, best self at the moment. One of the other ways I help people as well is I have a big focus on self-care. That's something I've really been working on a lot lately. And your beauty routine is self-care, by the way, but we may talk about that later. The other way I help people as well is I help them to ethically nurture their skin by easily transitioning to natural and organic products that are kind to their skin and to their health, and of course also being kind to animals on the planet as well.
Mm-hmm. And so you do, there are so many reasons that I love what you do. And people who watch the podcast, the video version of this, will probably notice I'm not really a big makeup person. I'm not that girl. But I really love the stuff that you sort of talk about from like both the self-care perspective and the confidence perspective, and all of that. It's so refreshing, I think, in the beauty industry to see somebody speaking about finding the inner confidence and reflecting yourself, and also using it, like you say, as self-care, and rather than sort of morph yourself into this externally perfect version of whatever you're supposed to be. Yeah. But you said initially that you've had a pretty serious change in gear, job-wise. Yeah. So what kind of pushed you into that? What was the sort of trigger for you?
Oh, God, how long do we have here now for this question? But you're absolutely right. I mean, I guess really when I think about it now, this was always going to happen, but for so long I fell into the trap of the, okay, well, I better get the 9-to-5 job, which, by the way, is never 9 to 5. I mean, I don't think I ever worked 9 to 5 in my entire, time in corporate, and I was in it for like 12, 13 years. But really, I always knew that I wanted to do something different, but I didn't know what it was for so long. So I guess it was kind of that stage, what it's like when you're 17, 18, and it's like, no, you better find a career now, and this is your career for life. And it's like, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was like, why are you making me make this decision now? I just want to travel for a while. And I knew that I wanted to do those and really experience life as well. Because for me, that is, yes, obviously going to university and having an education, all those things are super important. Of course they are. But for me also, experiencing life is just as important, because, I would say that while I have tons of qualifications, what's really stood to me is actually all the life experience that I have, and the things that I've done and seen. But I guess, what happened was I ended up studying finance. And then I fell in, actually, funny enough, I ended up in the travel industry when I came straight out of college. I was in the travel industry for about 3 or 4 years. And that was then after that when I fell into the finance industry. And, whilst it was okay, I always felt like it was always just a job, and I worked for various different companies. I worked for some of the biggest companies in the world, but I just always knew, no, this is not for me. There's something else out there, and I couldn't figure it out for a long time. And then what happened was it's about 11, 12 years ago now. because we're from Ireland, but we moved to Germany, and I already knew at that stage, it was like, right, I definitely want to do something different now. And I felt like, okay, this is going to be my opportunity to do it, but that didn't happen. I actually, whilst I did do something different, as in I learned how to speak German fluently, I still ended up falling back into a finance job. And to be honest with you, that was probably that was the low point for me. And it was also okay, I have to get myself out of this, because I was in a job that I absolutely hated. It was the worst job I'd ever been in. It was a horrible company to work for. It was literally a culmination of everything, bad that could have been about a job. And I was just, I was like, I have to do something about this now. And at that stage, I guess I kind of did realize, you know what, maybe, being a makeup artist is what I want to do. Like, I always enjoyed it. And again, for me, it wasn't just, I didn't just want to be any old makeup artist. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way to anybody, but for me, it was always about like the organic side of it, the natural side, the animal side of things, animal cruelty, and these are things that are super important to me in my life in general. Wellness is always something I've been interested in, so for me it was like, okay, well, this is a really good progression here, this is how I can really kind of get into this. So I guess really, I do remember having a conversation one time with my partner when things were really bad in the job and I was so miserable, and he said to me, if you don't leave that job, I'm going to do it for you. And I was like, okay. So it was kind of like, it was almost like I needed that
kind of partner people should have.
Exactly. He's so good, but it's also, when you're in a situation like that, and this can be for anything we're in life, sometimes we don't see, like we have the blinkers on, and I didn't even realize this was affecting my life in general. Like, I stopped seeing my friends for a while, I really kind of just I didn't want to see anybody, because it was like, the way everybody else says, oh, how's work and how's your job? And I was like, I don't want to talk about any of this, and I just want to be myself, and I was like, oh, wow, okay. And what was great was that he was seeing this in me, and he gave me that, I guess, kick up the ass, if you like, that I absolutely needed. And I'm so grateful to him for it. And, he's been so supportive with all of this as well. So yeah, I guess that was it for me. And I guess if I'm being honest with you, there was another light bulb moment there. It's kind of really these two things where I started to realize, hold on a second, I have like another 30 years or so of my work life left. And I was like, that is way too long to be stuck doing something I don't like. And I didn't want to be like all of my friends who were moaning about their jobs. And in fact, I was one of those. I mean, I was that person for a long time. It was like, oh yeah, how's the job? Yeah, pays the bills, whatever. And I was like, no, like, life is not meant to be like that. There's much more out there. And also I knew that I wanted to come home at the end of the day, whether it was a 14 or 15 hour, day, which, quite often it could have been. And I wanted to feel like I'd achieved something at the end of the day. And so often I wasn't. That was not the case. In fact, most of the time it wasn't the case, and I was like, no. And I know that I'm meant to be doing something that makes a bit more of a difference in the world, that, adds value to people's lives. And I felt like that's not what I was doing in the jobs I was in. So I guess I feel like a long-winded way of saying it, but they were kind of the two really aha moments for me, the light bulb moments. And then I quit my job, and honestly, like, the minute I did, I knew it was the right thing. The day that I started in the makeup school, I knew that I had done the right thing. Now, obviously, I faced challenges there as well with being someone who wanted to be more on the natural and organic side. But yeah, I mean, it just, and actually when I started, I do remember when I started in the makeup school, and everyone was so young. They were like 18 and 19. And now there was me, like, I had a 12-year corporate career at that stage. And I was thinking, oh my God, I'm so old now. But actually, I realized pretty quickly that all of that, again, goes back to life experience, that actually everything that I had done up until then, whilst you think, makeup and, finance, not really, the same. But it was just, again, it was all that experience. Like, I knew how to deal with clients. Most of them, it took them, a lot of them actually gave up, like, businesses even, because they didn't know how to deal with clients. They'd never had a job before. So I think, oftentimes we think, oh, all that was just a waste of time. It never is. Anything we do in life is never a waste of time, because it's how you use that. And it's a great thing to build on. Do you know what I mean? Every step of your life is just a phase, and you can use all that experience with you no matter what you're doing.
Yeah. So how, because you say that even when you sort of moved into beauty, you were still sort of an outlier because of your attitude to beauty and ethics and that kind of thing. How did you sort of go through that sort of process and hold on to your vision of what you wanted to do in beauty?
Oh, I mean, it definitely was a struggle sometimes, because you know what it's like in life, you know, we feel like we have to fit in and all of this kind of thing. But for me, it was just my values and ethics were just too strong to want to do that. Now, what I will say is there was definitely a struggle with trying to find products at the time, because whilst natural and organic skincare, you know, has definitely, like, I would say that's definitely the one that's way ahead of the game, and it has been for quite a while. Makeup was the one where, you know, there wasn't much available. You know, certainly if there were natural and organic products available, they weren't very good quality. So I did have to make you know, feel like some compromises there for a while, because obviously I was working with clients, I was working on photo shoots, I was working with bridal clients, you know, they still needed products that were really good quality. So, you know, I had to still use products until the products were available, the really good quality products were available. I had to make that compromise for a while. But the thing that I never, ever compromised on was it always had to be 100% cruelty free. Like, that was something I was never willing to compromise. I don't care how good the product said it was. I don't care if it's been tested on animals, get it away from me. I don't want it anywhere near me, you know? So there was that side of things. But again, yeah, like as I said, I did have to deal with you know, like people would say, oh, what do you mean you want to use natural organic? Like, did you look at me like I was some sort of a weirdo, you know? And it's like, oh, that hippie stuff and all this kind of thing. But, you know, I guess it's like anything in life, isn't it? It's like when you truly believe in something, you know what, like I just knew, no, like if I even did say try and veer off and go, okay, maybe I should do what they're doing, it just didn't feel right to me. Like, it just, everything was off about me. My energy was off, how I show up was off, and I'd be like, no, this is not what I want to do. And you know, and I think the message around the confidence side of things, that was something that was I never wavered on. You know, it was always like, no, I don't care what you're saying about, oh, let's change how the person looks, all that sort of stuff. It was like, that was always a no for me as well.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's so clear from the stuff you put out on social media, from everything you do. It is so clear that those things are baked into your business. They are so at the core of it. Which is that it's something that I spoke to Nancy about on a previous podcast, was like building your business around those morals so that they are truly a core part of it. Because that is how then everything comes out from that, with the same morals and the same ethics attached. So it is really amazing to see that you sort of held on so tight to those things and were like, no, I'm not going to make these adjustments just because everybody else is doing it. That's really nice. And you talk about confidence as well, and this is something that another thing that runs through all of your stuff is confidence. And it's definitely something that I come up against with clients as well, who are like, oh, I can't go on video because I'm too shy, I don't look right, I'm not that kind of person, I can't go live, I can't show up on stories, I can't do these things. So what do you tell people? Because that must be one of the big things, especially at the moment, that people are speaking to you about.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything you just described there, I hear every day as well. And so let's even just go back to basics. Let's take out the video part for now, okay? So I'll even just take myself, okay? When I wear makeup, I'm wearing it for me, okay? I wear makeup even if I am not going on video that day, if I'm sitting in the house by myself, okay? Because I wear it because it's, again, I go back to, it's self-care. Okay, so it's me putting, you know, it's doing, and it's an act of self-love. Like, that's what it is for me. It's like, you know what, I'm caring for my skin, I'm doing something lovely for myself. And it's also about the feeling that it gives me, because it's like, it's that thing where, you know what, I've made an effort for myself. I mean, I'm putting in how many hours per day for everybody else and everything else in my life. Do you know what? I'm going to spend 10 minutes on myself as well, because I am absolutely worthy of that. Okay, so that's where I really come from when it comes from the side of makeup. Now, if somebody doesn't want to wear makeup, so for example, you were saying a big makeup girl, that's absolutely fine. That's your choice. You know what I mean? And I feel like this is where the issues come in when it comes to makeup. It's like people feel they either, it almost goes to the extremes sometimes. It's like people are like, I don't want to wear makeup because I'm sick of people telling me to wear it. Or you have the other extreme where people are like, I have to wear it because, you know, oh my God, I don't like how I look. I'm trying to cover up things, all this kind of thing. We have to change that mindset completely, okay? Because there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to wear makeup, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with not wanting to wear makeup. But ultimately, it has to be what's going to make you feel good. And that's what it's about. And I always say, the bonus of makeup is that it gives you, you know, it enhances your complexion, it, you know, enhances your natural beauty. That's the bonus side. For me, it's about, as I say, it's that act of self-love and how it makes me feel. So going back to video, okay, so I do believe, yes, like definitely when you wear a makeup on video, it absolutely is going to make a difference to how you look, okay? Obviously that's, you know, and look, we're visual people, we can't get around that. You know, it's like, you think about going to job interviews, like, you know, it is important how you dress to a job interview, because the first thing the interviewer sees about you is you, and whether we like it or not, that as humans, that's just how our brains work, you know? But again, I go back to, it's still about doing it for you. So the way I say it is like, you know what, if you are a bit scared to go on video, well, if putting on a bit of makeup is what makes you, is going to give you that extra boost of confidence to go, do you know what, I feel really good now, I'm going to give this a try. Why not do it? Now, it doesn't have to be something that, because again, this is one of those, you know, I would say like myths about makeup. It's like, oh, it's a lot of fuss. Oh, it takes ages. Well, first of all, again, I go back to, if you're saying it's a lot of fuss, it takes ages. Well, first of all, you're saying about yourself, you're not worthy of that time, okay? Whether that's 5 minutes or 55 minutes, okay? But secondly, it doesn't have to take 55 minutes anyway, okay? But only if you want to. So makeup, I do makeup looks in 5 minutes. I can do them in 10 minutes. Some days I spend 20 minutes. It's really how I feel, but I'm going to decide that for me, because again, that's what makes me feel good. So does that make sense what I'm saying there?
Yeah, and I think it is. I think it's because one of the things I've seen a lot of people sort of speak about in lockdown has been this sort of, some of them have been, I've not worn makeup at all, and it's so freeing and I love it and I don't ever want to have to wear it again. And I've seen other people who've been like, I've not bothered to wear makeup because I've not been going to work and we've, you know, whatever. And I just feel so down about myself and I don't really know why. And I think, and then there's this sort of revelation of like, maybe that's why I'm not taking the time to do this thing that is actually important to me and that is a part of who I am. And I think you're right. We need to sort of get rid of this moral judgment around makeup. Like, if you want to wear it, then you can wear it. That's fine. That's great. And if you don't, then you don't. If you want to wear it occasionally, you can do that. That's totally fine. And I do think as well, like you say, if it helps you to show up for your audience, if it helps you to put on your sort of business persona or whatever, you know, however you sort of are seeing it, then you should do it, because you deserve to show up for your audience and your audience want to hear from you as well.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, I always say that, you know, we can talk, we kind of touched obviously there, like people talk about, you know, wearing nice clothes or getting dressed up or putting on makeup almost as vanity. But it's not. I say that it really is the energy behind everything you do. So again, you know, whatever you're wearing, you know, should be something that makes you feel good. For some people, that might be their tracksuit. Do you know what I mean? For someone else, that might be their ball gown, you know, whatever it is. But why not do what you got to do to make yourself feel good? Again, this is, as I say, this is the self-care side of things. And I think where the problem often comes in is that people make it about other people. Okay, so you're making it about, like, just going back to what you were saying there about lockdown, right? And people saying, oh yeah, like I haven't been going out, so I haven't been getting dressed up. Why? Like, I don't understand that. Like, what you're saying there is you're only doing it for other people. I'm only doing it if I'm going to see somebody, but you're going to see yourself. You see yourself the most. You see yourself 24/7, you know? So why you are, like, when people say to me, I'm not doing it because I've no one to impress, I say, yeah, you do, yourself. You have to impress yourself. The only person you ever need to impress is you. Now, obviously, of course, as I said, there's the side of it where, you know, look, ultimately, like if you're in a professional situation, of course, you want to show up in a professional way, you know, and obviously, you know, what you wear can make, you know, be like, make that, you know, sorry, that's one way to do it. Sorry. Like, for example, if somebody is showing up in their like bathrobe, you know, at a networking meeting or something, or an interview, I mean, obviously that's not very professional. And again, it's not going to make you feel very good, you know.
Or the shirtless Florida lawyers.
Yeah, I can tell you, I don't know if I'm doing business with them. But yeah, do you understand the point I'm making? It's like,
yeah,
it is for you. I think when we get into that mentality, it's just for you. Like, I kind of think of it as well, like, you know, like, is it vain to want to have your garden nice? Like, people are always talking about, you know, keeping their gardens nice. Or is it vain to want to keep your house nice? Like, nobody says that's vanity. So why is it vain to want to do something nice for you? Because again, ultimately, as I say, like, you know, when you think about it, an example, as you were saying, like in a professional situation, like when you're showing up, let's say on your Facebook Lives, your Instagram or whatever for your people, you know, ultimately people feed off other people's energy, you know, one way or the other. Okay. Someone's showing up like this or whatever, you know, people are going to notice that, you know, and obviously like people don't really buy from people who are like in a negative energy, or, you know how it is, you know what I mean? But we are very attracted to people whose energy maybe is similar to ours, but also that is a little, I'm not saying everybody has to be really upbeat. That's not what I mean. Your energy is your energy, you know? And what it's about is making sure that the best of you is coming across. Do you know what I mean? And for me, like, one of the best ways for me to do that is by actually looking after myself. And I look after myself in many ways. Like, obviously, yeah, I wear makeup, and, you know, I like to wear clothes that make me feel good. Like, if I showed up here today in just my pajamas or something, like, I probably would, like, I'd probably be sitting here like this, you know. I wouldn't be showing up as the best version of me. But it is about obviously finding that, you know, and that's where the confidence really comes in, because you're not trying to pretend you're something else that you're not. Do you know what I mean? Like, and again, I feel like people think it's like, oh, but I don't like wearing, let's say a shirt and tie. Let's take a guy, for example, or I don't like wearing a suit. Okay, that's fine. Then don't wear that, but wear whatever it is that makes you feel good. And again, even if that is for you, a t-shirt and jeans or whatever, but make sure you find the thing that makes you feel good, because that's ultimately that's how the best version of you is going to show up, because you're feeling relaxed. You're feeling like, oh God, it's just me. And oh my God, the best of me is coming out here, and people will feed off that, you know. When we all, okay, you're doing social media, for example, I'm doing makeup. There's lots of makeup artists. There's lots of people doing social media, but what attracts people to you, what attracts people to me, it's the way we show up and the energy we're giving off, because we're just being ourselves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I do think it ties so deeply into that authenticity.
Yes.
And I think it is so difficult to show up as your authentic self online. And this is something that people speak to me about a lot as well, is this sort of, I can't be myself because I'm too this, or I'm not that enough, and I'm whatever, you know, I have to be this professional version of myself. I have to be this kind of person. And it seems like a small thing to say, like, well, dress how you feel comfortable, dress how you feel confident, and see what happens. But it does make a difference. If you are wearing something that you feel comfortable and confident in, then when you show up on, be that on video calls or on lives, or just writing your captions for your social media, you are going to show up as your authentic self, because you feel good as your authentic self. You don't, and I do think that a lot of the sort of, if you are, and there's nothing wrong with wearing PJs to work, been doing that a lot, but I do notice that, like you say, like, my energy is very different. And sometimes it's because I haven't slept well, I feel a bit rough, whatever. Totally fine to wear your PJs. Give yourself a break, that's okay. But if you're showing up like that every day, and you notice that you always feel low energy, it is worth trying. Like, well, maybe I actually went out and bought some like comfortable clothes that aren't PJs, so that I had an option that wasn't PJs. So I could be like, yes, I could put something on that's just really comfortable and chill, but it's not pajamas.
Yes.
And that sort of switch in your brain to, like, these are my work pajamas, basically.
Your fancy pajamas and your normal pajamas. I love it.
It does. It makes such a difference. And I think some of it is that it triggers your brain to be like, this is not bedtime. This is not relaxed time. And some of it is just, you have made the effort for yourself to put on something that isn't just pajamas, to get changed, to put on something that feels nice. And it does make such a huge difference to how you show up for people, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's because you're showing up for yourself first and foremost. Again, I go back to, obviously, we're showing up for our people, but first and foremost, it has to be for you, I mean, especially when you're running a business. I mean, why are we doing it? I mean, we all have, or we go back to our why and that there, but that's also it. And all of those things make a difference. And then when you are showing, okay, first of all, my why is in the back of my head. I know I'm so passionate about this. And then that's going to come across. And then when you have, as you said, done something nice for yourself, then that's also going to come across. And that's when we're going to give ourselves the best version of us. That's when people are going to notice that. And that's what gives us the best chance as well of, people choosing us over somebody else,
Yeah, it really does, because it helps people connect with the real you. You are, like you say, you are giving yourself that opportunity to show up as your true self, so people can see that and relate to that. And that is oftentimes what makes the difference, because they're connecting with you, especially if you are a service-based business. You are what is selling people on you.
Yeah. It pretty much is, like, ultimately, okay, people will come to me, they need help with, like their makeup and obviously the natural organic side of things as well. And people come to you for help with social media. But really, when you ask them, why did they choose you and Alexis, or why did they choose me? It's like, they'll say, oh, well, it's your energy. I really like, I really like your values, and it's always something like that. It's never, oh, because, your, prices were the better ones, or your, social media, services better than someone else. It's because of you, they want you, as you said. Like,
no, it really is. That is what makes the difference for people.
Yeah.
What was I going to ask you? Oh, self-care. That's what I was going to speak to you about, because a lot of your content recently on social media has been so self-care focused, which I am so here for. And I especially loved the posts that I saw that were like, you can't say that when my business is successful, then I will have time for self-care. When I have earned this much, when I have this many clients, when I've achieved this thing, then I am going to have a day off. I am going to work fewer hours. I am going to whatever. So what inspired you to start talking about that, I guess, at first?
It was kind of one of those aha moments again recently. I mean, self-care is something I've always talked about. But what happened was recently, it was, one of those moments you're in the shower and you have all the ideas. All the best ones always go in the shower. And all of a sudden I had this idea for a 2-day experience that I was going to. It was going to be a free experience, and I decided to call it Self-Care for Success, because I guess when I think about it, what triggered it was just seeing posts from people, talking to people I knew, talking to clients, and they were saying, oh, I'm exhausted at the moment. Oh my God, I could really do with some self-care. And I was thinking to myself, okay, but like, your self-care is something that you don't need to wait to do, I think people often think of self-care as, like a holiday, or, oh, I'll take a day off now and, every now and again, or it's like a day at the spa or something like that. Don't get me wrong, they're all really nice ways to still practice self-care. We all need a holiday, we all need a break. But for me, self-care are the tiny little things that we do every day. That's what self-care is. So I guess, really that was what inspired me to create this. And actually what happened was I was actually about to launch a group program that I had decided on, again, just from talking to people. And that group program was going to be elements of self-care, confidence, empowerment. Then I was also putting in elements of the how to do your makeup for camera, for example, how to show up confidently on camera. And I was also going to put in elements of the natural and organic side of things. And when I did actually launch it then, so I ran the 2-day event, I launched that program, and people were saying, I really like it, but you know what, I prefer at the moment to just focus on the self-care side of things. And I was like, okay, maybe I should actually change the group program now. So actually, I didn't actually change the group program. I'm still going to run that other one at a later date. But I created a whole new one in about a week after, because this is the great thing, isn't it, about why we should always just put things out there imperfectly, because I got a completely different group program out of them. And that's when I came up with Self-Care Makeover. And as I say, what I was realizing was from the 2-day event I ran, I also ran another event on LinkedIn, and just listening to people, like, you know, for example, some people were saying, oh no, I'm pretty good with my self-care. And then we start talking about things like, you know, okay, how many times a day do you check your phone? Are you checking your phone late at night? Do you have a sneaky check on the weekends? You know, are you multitasking? People are like, oh God, yeah, I'm doing all of those things. Okay. Those kind of things are all also self-care, you know? And, you know, again, going back to what you were saying about, like, people are saying, oh, I'll wait until I'm successful. I'll wait until I have X amount of money or X amount of clients. That's the wrong way around. Okay. Because if you are not practicing your self-care now, how are you ever going to have all of those clients and the money you want? And in fact, it's actually going to get busier, you know, and maybe you will have some element of success. And if that's okay, that's fine. But is it really worth like burning yourself out? You like sacrificing your health, sacrificing your well-being, your relationships even, you know, is it really worth that to have ultimately what's going to be short-term success? Because that is not sustainable the way a lot of people are working right now. And you know, ultimately it's just the road to burnout. Like, we may as well just be blunt about it. You know, it is like, and I've seen it. I know people that this has happened to. And let's be honest, you can't do anything when you're ill. Like, you know, you might have some success and you might go, great, I have all these big orders in now, all these big projects, these clients. But then if you get ill, well, you can't fulfill any of those orders anyway. Okay. So this is why this is not, you know, the way people are working right now, it's not sustainable. That's not how success or long-term success is going to be achieved, you know. But then let's say, even if, okay, some people are like, okay, well, I'm okay. I'm not like burning myself out, but they're also still not operating like at, you know, maybe 90%, 90 to 100% most of the time. The majority of the time they're operating at just 40 to 50%, kind of just limping along. And again, that's because it's all these things like, you know, obviously, like, you know, social media, like, you know, our phones, laptops, they're all brilliant. We need technology. It's fantastic, but it shouldn't be at the expense of our health either. Like, you know, the way we're using it right now, it's just draining us of all the, I actually posted it there, so it's like the energy vampire. I don't know, it was a book I read a few years ago it was about that, but it was called The Energy Bus, I think, but they talked about energy vampires in it. And I said, actually, it's the technology really that's actually our energy vampires now. It is draining us. As I say, all those things of working on the weekends, and you know, it might seem like it's small here and there, but all those things are going to add up. And as I said, and then let's say you do have some, you know, amount of a success, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, great, all the orders are coming in now, all the projects, all the clients. Okay, well, you're going to need to be at your absolute, you know, best most of the time. We can't all be at our best all of the time, of course, it's not possible, but you are going to be needing to operate at like 90% to 100% of the, you know, the majority of the time in order to fulfill all of those orders. And also, if you're not practicing self-care now, it's going to be harder for you to start when you are, you know, in the thick of it, when you've got extra work to do. So this is why I say it's so important to start doing it now, even small things every day. Doing things with intention is self-care. When we're trying to multitask and do 5-10 things at once, first of all, I think we all know by now, research has showed us that multitasking means you're not doing anything well, and you're not getting it done quickly either, you know. And when we start to do things like single tasking, for example, that actually, first of all, we're getting it done quicker, we're getting it done better. Okay. And also, you know, we're doing it with intention, and it's not causing stress. When we're trying to do so many things at once, like, you even feel like, even as I'm talking about it now, I feel it in the pit of my stomach going, oh God, that feels stressful. Do you know what I mean? So it's all these, even your makeup, I'll go back to your makeup routine, your skincare routine, having a shower, they are all self-care as well. Now, obviously, it's great to be adding in other things, like obviously if you want to do a workout, if you want to read more, if you want to go to bed earlier, if you want to have a morning routine of journaling, meditating, they're all brilliant. They're all great ways to practice self-care as well. But for the days when we're super busy, and we all have a lot of them, you know, we have to remember as well, like, why are we, like, one thing I talked about a lot was, and I've been guilty of this too, by the way, like, I'll say, okay, I'm going to take a break now. I'm going to go and make a cup of tea. And I still bring the phone with me, and I'm checking the phone when I'm making the cup of tea, and I'm like, that's not a break. Do you know what I mean? It's all these little things like that that are still self-care.
Yeah. I am so guilty of that. And I notice the more stressed I get, the more I multitask, and the more I do things like say, yeah, I'm going to go take a break. I'm going to go for a walk. And then I'm going to do stories on my phone while I'm walking. going to do
It's madness, isn't it, when you think about it?
And as I'm doing it, I'm thinking, I'm working. I'm not having a break. Yeah. I'm still working.
I see lots of your videos when you've been out for a walk, and I'm there going, oh, she's out for a walk, but she's still working.
This is not a break. Yeah.
And we're not allowing our brains, and never mind even our bodies, to actually really take a break. And as we know, I mean, I just go back to when I got the idea in the first place, it was in the shower. Why is it that we get so many ideas in the shower? It's because we can't do anything else. We're just in the shower, and we've actually allowed ourselves those 2-3 minutes, even if that's all we're even in the shower for. We've allowed ourselves that time, but we're not doing that when we're out and about. And actually, there was one of the girls when I ran the LinkedIn event, and she said to me, she said, oh my God, I thought I was doing really well with my self-care. She said, I work out and, you know, I look after what I eat. And she said, but this all makes sense now why, even though I'm doing all of those things, I still feel tired all the time. And I was like, that's what it is.
Yeah, I think it's very easy as well for if you feel like you're good at self-care. I think it's really easy for self-care to become like a checklist of like, these are the things I do for self-care, and it just is another thing on your list. It's not an intentional act of self-care anymore. It's just, have I done this? Yes. Have I done this? Yes. Oh good, now I'm going to do something else that's work, or I'm going to do the housework, and it loses its power to some degree because it becomes just that check, I've done this thing. So for me, the way I've sort of gotten around, because I definitely found that I was doing that, is that I have like one self-care non-negotiable, which for me is yoga. And then like anything else, so I do yoga every day. Wow. And then I can mix up anything else to add in self-care wise. So maybe like some days I'll meditate, or I'll read for a bit, or I'll go for a walk without the phone. And try and mix it up so that it's not just a checklist of, have I done these self-care things?
Yeah. I love that.
How do you well, I guess, how do you take care of yourself? What are your sort of self-care go-tos?
So I'm a bit like yourself. So when you say about you have your self-care non-negotiable, so for me, mine is my daily workout. So I do that. So even did it first thing this morning, and that is a non-negotiable for me. So that is now like for example, I actually wrote a post about this last week. There was one day last week where I woke up a bit later than usual. You know, the alarm didn't go off, or I was probably just a bit tired. Again, it's probably because my body actually needed a little bit of an extra, few minutes in bed. But anyway, I woke up, and as I say, the first thing I do every morning is my daily workout. And then I was thinking to myself, oh God, but I woke up late now, and oh my goodness, but I have a really busy day ahead. Oh, maybe I should just skip the workout. And then I was like, no. And the way I see my daily workout and other self-care things, which I'll talk about in a second, but that is to me like exactly what you said. It's non-negotiable, but it's also like it's a meeting. It's a meeting I have with me. Okay, so we have meetings scheduled for today, for example. I have other meetings scheduled. Okay, and the way I looked at it was, well, would I cancel with someone else at the last minute? No, I wouldn't. That would be, first of all, rude and also unprofessional. Okay. So why would I cancel the meeting with myself? Again, I'm not going to be rude and unprofessional to me either. So that's how one of my ways that I really helped myself to get into this non-negotiable habit. And again, there's obviously going to be days. I mean, of course, there's days when I skip my workout. It's not perfect. Nobody is. That's the other thing. It's like, I think people think that it has to be this, I have to do my perfect routine, and I have to do these things, and I have to journal and meditate. And it's like, no, it's about finding what works for you, first of all. I mean, maybe you like yoga, for example. I like my workout. You also like meditating and journaling. Somebody else might prefer something else. Maybe someone else's thing is to go for a walk first thing in the morning, or even just to have 10 minutes to themselves where they do nothing in silence. That's what it's all about, finding what works for you and then making it non-negotiable. So as I said, for me, the workout is the thing though that, and actually, of course, obviously I did do the workout in the end last week, and guess what? I still got all my work done. In fact, I probably got it done more efficiently, because I actually, the second that I started my workout, I was like, okay, I'm already, because you know what it's like when you wake up late and you're like, oh, I have so much to do, and you start feeling a little bit stressed. The second I started, I was like, oh, I'm instantly calmer now. Do you know what? It'll be okay. I'll get through the day. It'll be fine. So this is why self-care is so essential. And other things for me are, again, just like yourselves, like sometimes I don't go for a walk every single day, but I do try to get one in. And that's something I go, okay, well, that's like a bonus thing. But for me, things like, for example, I like to read. Now, again, I don't get to read a lot every day, but I like to spend at least 5 minutes reading a day. And if I can get more in, then that's a bonus. That's great. And what I've been trying to do a lot lately is, like get into the habit that I'm going to bed like a half hour earlier than I was going, and making that, I mean, I could sit on the computer. I mean, you know what it's like when you do what you love, like you can still sit on the computer and I'll just get out one more thing done, or I'll just be on the phone. And I'm making the conscious decision of switching the phone off. I'm putting it on airplane mode about a half hour before I go to bed. And then I'm like, right, I'm getting into bed and I'm going to read now for a while. And those kind of things are really helping me. Other things for me that are self-care, non-negotiable, is my makeup routine and my skincare routine. And again, it's only a few minutes per day. It's only like 10 minutes per day. But it's really, it makes me feel really good. Again, it's that thing of I've done something lovely for me before I've even started my day. I even consider my shower my self-care routine. So instead of getting in the shower and going, oh, I have to get through it now, wash my hair really quickly, whatever, I'm like, no, okay, I'm going to spend 30 seconds to a minute washing my hair. Lovely. And then I use nice products that make me feel nice. They're not even that expensive, but they smell nice and they're all natural and organic, of course, and they have lovely essential oils in them. And little things like that, even things, again, like I used to brush my teeth and try and look at the phone or try and multitask when I was brushing my teeth. Now I'm like, no, it's only 2 minutes brushing my teeth. Right, I'm just going to do it. You know, again, oral hygiene is such an important thing. It's such a great way to look after yourself. So for me, it's all those little things. It's not necessarily big things, but it's those little small things that make a massive difference to how my day goes.
Yeah, it's true. And I think actually with you talking about the sort of the teeth and trying to do things all at the same time, I think like productivity culture and the sort of productivity influencers that we see, it's all about like habit stacking and doing as much as you possibly can in any given time frame. And I understand where they're coming from, but I think a lot of it comes down to FOMO. Like a lot of the reason people are going so hard into this sort of productivity culture is I don't want to miss out on something. You know, I've got to listen to a podcast while I'm doing my teeth, while I'm in the shower, while I'm doing something else. You know, I've got to read this book, but I'm also going to be listening to something at the same time, and I'm going to do some work, but I'm also going to be on a call or whatever. And I think a lot of it is sort of comes down to saying to yourself, like, I'm going to miss stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss stuff. I can't watch everything. I can't read everything. I can't listen to everything in the world. There is not time in the day. There is not time in your life to experience everything, to do all those things. And I think sort of trying to become okay with that and going, right, I choose to miss out on some stuff can be really helpful to then allow yourself to go, right, I am going to spend 2 minutes brushing my teeth and not do something else at the same time, and not try and optimize every single moment of my day. You know, you can go and make a cup of tea and not be thinking about your business decision or showing up on stories or doing whatever. It's absolutely okay to choose to do less and to choose to miss things. I think that is kind of a huge act of self-care, is to allow yourself to miss things.
I 100% agree. Absolutely. And that's it. And, you know, I love what you said, first of all. It's that I choose. Okay. That is the whole point. It's always a decision. It's a decision to do it, or it's a decision not to do it. Okay. Like when people tell me I don't have time for self-care, I say, no, that's not true. You do have time. It's just that you choose not to do it. You choose to prioritize other things. Okay. And that's fine if that's what you choose. But then I always say, and I don't mean to sound harsh here, but I think it has to be said. It's like, look, when you've made that decision, okay, then you can't complain, oh God, I'm tired all the time. But you've chosen not to do that. But you can choose not to do all the things. And I have to go back to, you know, what you were saying there about like people trying to fit in as much as possible. Why? Like you have to ask the question, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why do I need to fill my time with all of these things? Is it really going to benefit me? Like what would happen if I didn't do it? Probably nothing. Do you know what I mean? What would happen if you didn't listen to those 10 podcasts? Absolutely nothing. Is it, and actually, is it benefiting you by doing all the things, by listening to all the things? Because ultimately it gets to a point where, you know, you're just consuming stuff, but you're not actually really getting any benefit out of it. Like, again, it's really about quality over quantity, isn't it? You know, so we don't have to be filling our time with every single thing. We don't. It's about spending that time well and doing it with intention. Again, as I said, and like, you know, even like I go back to the toothbrushing. I mean, geez, that might sound really stupid to some people, but it absolutely is true. You think about it also, when you calm down, when you allow yourself, instead of trying to multitask and do those 10 things, again, we go back to what research has shown us, it's not doing anything well. You know, like I come from, as we touched on earlier, I come from a corporate culture, right? It was actually in the job title saying, you know, you must be able to multitask. And oh my God, did I wear that with a badge of honor around, like, oh my God, aren't I so great? I can multitask. And you will be there looking at other people who weren't multitasking going, oh my God, like they can't do 10 things at once. Isn't that terrible? I mean, now I know different. When I think about it now, none of us were doing anything well if we were trying to do everything all together. And it took us 10 times as long to do it. Like, instead of taking like maybe 2 hours to do something, it takes 5 hours, because you're trying to do so many things at once. The brain cannot like do those things well, you know. And so this is why, yeah, I go back to, it is quality over quantity, because when you're doing one thing and doing it well, that actually is, you're actually getting it done quicker, you know. So actually you do have, it feels like if I'm only doing one thing, oh my goodness, that's not enough. But actually, if you're doing one thing, you do it well and you're finished, then you move on to the next thing, you're actually going to get so much more done. That's much more productive than trying to do it the other way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And I do think actually the sort of multitasking thing is something that I notice a lot in like women and people who were assigned female at birth. This sort of like, women multitask, men can't multitask. That's why women are better. You know, women can keep a house and work a job and have a social life, and it's because we can multitask. And it's like, okay, I'm not entirely sure that is exactly how it goes. I'm not convinced that's the own that we think it is.
Yeah. And for so long, oh my God, I grew up with that as well, thinking, aren't I great? I'm a woman, I can multitask. And now I'm like, oh my God, okay, I'm not going to be shouting about that one anymore.
I do think it sort of filters into the business aspect of things, especially when women then open their own businesses, because there is that like, oh, women multitask, that's what puts me ahead of the game. I can do these 50 different things at once. And I think that is one of the things that leads to a lot of burnout in sort of female entrepreneurs and business owners, is this, I'm going to do all the things, I am going to prove that women can have it all. And I'm not saying women can't have it. If you want to have a job and have a family, or, you know, do whatever you're doing, you can absolutely do all those things, but you cannot do it at the expense of yourself. And this, again, it comes back to missing out on things and choosing to miss out on things. And you have to prioritize for you. Like, what do you not want to miss out on? What is actually important to you? And then what is less important? What is just, oh, well, I'd like to do that, but it's, you know, it's if I've got some spare time, I'll do that. And maybe that's watching Netflix. Maybe that's listening to podcasts. Maybe you're not really big on exercise, and that's just like well, if I've got half an hour here, I'll do some yoga or whatever. But you need to know, I think, what is actually really important to you. So that you can choose to miss out on the other stuff and not get caught up in that like productivity cycle.
100% agree. You literally hit the nail on the head there. And what I would just add to that is, are you really missing out then? Like, as you said, if you are making that list of, okay, what's really important to me, then the other stuff then by definition isn't important to you, then you're not missing out. Do you know what I mean? So I think you're right. I think in the society that we live in today, it's always we're supposed to be on like almost 24/7, you know, and it's like, oh my God, like and it's almost this thing of, you know, and it reminds me a lot of the beauty industry. It's like, if you're not doing things a certain way, oh my God, there's something wrong with you. that's a load of rubbish, you know. Again, it's this thing of trying to put people into boxes, you know, and you have to make the decision to not allow yourself to do that, because this is why we have so many unhappy, miserable people in the world, because they're doing things that really they don't want to do. They're doing because they should, they think they should. But actually, if they step back and said, you know, well, what is it that I really want to do? You know, that's when we would have so many more happier, fulfilled people in the world. And, you know, I always say, like, misery loves company. That's why a lot of those people try to bring you down as well, because they're miserable. But if we had it the other way around, maybe the world would be a better place for that, because happy people are not trying to drag anybody down. They're trying to pull people up with them and go, what? Come on, let's all be, you know, that might sound a little bit airy-fairy, but, you know, hopefully you get the point of what I'm trying to say, you know. But it is so important, and it goes back to everything we were talking about even at the beginning. You know, this can be putting people into the box, or being your authentic self can be, it comes in many forms. It comes in, you know, obviously how you want to look, how you want to show up, but also what you're actually doing in your life, you know. So I feel like, you know, this is such a big problem in the world right now, that people feel like they should be doing this thing, the FOMO, as you said. You know, and it's a mindset, but it's actually, again, you have to make that decision, don't you? And when you do, it's like this big weight is actually lifted off you, because then you're like, oh, I don't have to do all this other stuff. Brilliant. Okay, great. And now I can concentrate on the things I do want to do, and I can do them really, really well, you know?
Yeah. And I think the other thing is, like, you have to make that decision all the time. It's not like you sit down and go, right, you make your list of things that are actually important to you, and you go, right, I don't have to do the rest of it. And that's it. You have I have achieved self-care. I win at life. Like, it is a constant decision, because, like you say, the whole world is telling you that you have to do everything else. And it is a conscious decision to then say, like, if your friend recommends this amazing new Netflix series, and you're like, no, I choose not to watch that. I'll put it on my list, and maybe I'll get around to it, but that's not important to me. And you do have to keep sort of choosing that. And I genuinely, I don't think that sort of idea that if you feel happy and you feel good, then you do lift other people up. I don't think it's sort of woo woo or whatever at all. I think it's demonstrably true that the people who do feel good in their lives and in their choices do actually go out there and support other people and try to help other people much more. And that is absolutely not to say that if you are in a really awful place in your life that you aren't helping other people, not at all. But if you feel good, and you then have the brain space as well to actually be actively supporting people and to bring so much more sort of joy and help people in that way, which I think is really, really powerful.
I totally agree. And actually, if I could just go back briefly to self-care, because this really ties in together here, is that, you know, we, again, like, and I was one of these people as well. I grew up with the thing that, you know, oh my God, like, if I put myself first, it means I'm selfish, you know. And whilst on one hand, my mother was telling me, you know, make sure that you look after yourself. It's vital, you know, you really should. I didn't see her doing that. So she was telling me that, but she wasn't showing me that. So as a kid, I mean, you know, obviously we look at our parents, we look what they're doing more than even what they're saying. And we're thinking, oh, okay, well, if my mom's not doing it and she's always putting herself last, if I put myself first, that means I'm selfish. So it took me a long time. Like, I grew up with that. And I'm sure a lot of us have here, you know, obviously, you know, you probably have as well. And anybody who's listening to this, and it took me a very long time to realize, actually, that is completely the wrong way around. It's actually selfish not to prioritize myself. And the reason being is because if I am constantly putting myself last, if I am not fulfilling my own needs, first of all, it's, you know, detrimental to my well-being, to my health. Okay. Also, then I'm not going to be happy. How is that me then showing up as the best version of me for everybody and everything that needs me? They're not going to get the best of me like they really need, you know. And let's be honest, like, when we're feeling tired and drained and exhausted, and again, when we're feeling unhappy, we're cranky, you know, and we're miserable, and we're not nice to be around. And we snap at people and we think, oh God, I'm really good, I'm doing everything for everybody. But you are cranky, and you don't mean to be, but you just are. And after a while, you almost start to resent people, you know, from, oh, why do they need me again? Why are they shouting my name again? Okay, I'm here. What? Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's not doing any good for them either. So, like, it's actually unselfish to prioritize yourself, because actually ultimately that's where when we need to be there for other people and things in our lives, then actually they're all getting the best version of us. That's them. We're doing the best thing we can for them. Because if we're only showing up again, if we're only operating at 40 to 50% ourselves, that's all the people that need us are getting anyway. Do you know what I mean? So they're like, no, well, but they need us to be at 90 to 100%. So you're doing it for you as well. But again, when you're doing it, everybody benefits. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a wonderful point to end on. So do you want to tell us where can people find you on the internet?
So my website is NoleensLineyMakeup.com. So that's NOLENSLINEY makeup.com. And you'll pretty much find me on social media as Noleen Sliney everywhere. I think I'm about the only Noleen Sliney in the world, so it's not hard to find me. So that's
Sorry. I'll put all the links in the show notes as well, so people can find you even easier. And I think actually I would like to extend a little challenge to people listening today to share on social media their self-care routine, whether that's their self-care non-negotiable or just things that they like to do for self-care, or maybe even what they're choosing to miss out on. And if obviously tag me, tag Noleen in those posts, because I mean I would be really interested to see sort of what people are doing for self-care, because it's so varied and it's so personal.
Yes, it is. It's very, very personal. That's the whole point. And I feel that this has been the problem as well up until now with a lot of the self-care, certainly that I've seen online anyway. A lot of, there's courses out there now, and there's, tons of articles and all that. That's great. But a lot of the time the articles or the courses that are out there, they're like almost, again, it's not trying to put you into a box. So this is self-care, this is how you do self-care. But it's just like whether it's your makeup routine, your skincare routine, your self-care is also so individual. It is not a one size fits all. And I feel like a lot of those things that are out there now are, again, almost putting more pressure on people with FOMO, because it's like, okay, I should be journaling and meditating every day, because that seems to be a big one that's out there as well. And I got to be honest, even myself, like, I do like journaling and I do like meditating, but there are times when I feel like it's almost an extra thing that I have to do. And it's like, oh God, how am I going to get the time in for this? Or, how am I going to get the bandwidth? Like, my brain, I'm trying to think of 17 other things today. But it shouldn't be like that. And exactly as you said, for some people, like you and I, obviously we love exercise, but that's not everybody's way of practicing self-care. And that's absolutely fine. And that's why you have to find what's right for you. And then when you do, oh my God, it is amazing, and then make it non-negotiable. And just one thing I'll add as well about self-care is that setting boundaries is a huge one. That is self-care as well. By saying things like, I'm not available after 6 p.m. in the evening, for example, that you're only available between certain hours. And and I think with setting boundaries, and I would say women again maybe are kind of worse with this than men, is that again we feel like, oh God, if I set a boundary, someone's going to be really like annoyed with me, and oh God, they'll think I'm selfish. Like nobody ever thinks that. It's only ever really in our heads, because I have set lots of boundaries and I continue to, like, there's always going to be new things that come up. And not once has anybody ever complained about the boundaries I've set, because they know they're my boundaries, and that's it. The same way if I say to somebody, so I say to you, hey, what are your opening hours? And you say, let's say between 9 and 5 p.m. I go, okay, then I know that I only need to contact you between 9 and 5 p.m. And if I do it out of hours, I know that I'm not going to get a message until you're back in the office. That's absolutely fine. So I think that's something as well, is a great, kind of a good practice to get into as well. And you can start with baby steps. You don't have to set huge, big things if it's not what you want to do right now. Even set small little boundaries, and it's getting to start building that muscle, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Boundaries are so important. And actually, something I recommend to people when they struggle with doing it with social media, because some people are very hung up on, like, they've got to respond to the DMs and the messages really quickly, is that you actually include in your bio when you are going to be available to respond to those things. Because I think some people feel like, if I've not directly communicated with somebody that I am available between these hours, then it's not okay for me to not be available out of those hours. So sometimes it can help people to give themselves permission to not be there all the time by putting it in there, but like, I check messages Monday to Friday at 10 a.m. or whatever, so that it is out there for people.
So true. Yeah, I love that one. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it's about making that then your non-negotiable for yourself. I feel like we shouldn't have to do this, but look, we have to do what we got to do, and we have to make self-care and boundaries almost part of our daily to-do list, as in but not as in it's the bottom of the list. It's the first thing on the list, and then everything else comes along after that. And when you do that, when you make it like, because all those other things on your list, you're probably going, okay, I'm going to make sure I get to them. Well, then if you've done that with your self-care as well, then you're going to get, it's, after a while you won't need to do this, but certainly when if you need to get into that habit, that is really, really going to help you to get into that habit. And then after a while, it just becomes like part of your, everyday routine. You're not even thinking about it anymore. It's just what you do,
Yeah, definitely. So yes, do share your sort of self-care routines, self-care non-negotiables, what is working for you and what you are choosing to miss out on with us on social media, because I am so going to share those and be like, this is amazing. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Oh, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I love that when people share that. We always find new things, don't they? I mean, I'm pretty good at my self-care routine right now, but there's always something else comes along, or I'll see a suggestion from someone, I'm like, oh, I really like that one. I'm going to do that with myself as well.
And it really helps other people as well to see that there are different ways to do self-care, that, there are different things. You don't have to be meditating and journaling. You can do other stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Do what makes you happy. Don't feel you should do something or in a certain way. Do it the way you want to do it, and that feels good to you, and you can't go wrong then. Yeah,
you can't. It's true. It has been so lovely talking to you. I'm sure this has been very helpful for people as well, so thank you very, very much for being here.
It's my absolute pleasure, and thank you so much, Alexis, for having me here. And I really do hope this was helpful and inspirational for people as well. Remember, you are your business. You are the, forget strategies and all those kinds of things. You know what? If you're not functioning at your best, none of those things will. So you know what? You are your most important resource, I always say. So put your self-care first. It is not selfish. It's unselfish to do that.
Just to let you know that the Social Media for Humans podcast will actually now be coming out every 2 weeks, not every single week. So the next episode will be out on the 18th of June. That's Friday, the 18th of June. Big thank you to Louise, who is supporting the show on Patreon. If you want to support the show over there, you can donate any amount you like every month. That is super, super helpful. If you want to get something incredible for your money, you can join one of the Social Media for Humans clubs. We have a club for business owners, which teaches you everything you need to know about using social media ethically and effectively. And we also have a club for non-business owners, where you can learn about and share your experiences of using social media, tying self-care into that, not losing your mind to social media, and all that kind of thing. So there are lots of options if you want to support the podcast. That would be really, really super duper, but just listening and subscribing, leaving a review, all makes a massive difference. So thank you very much. And I will see you in 2 weeks.
If you want more regular reminders to find your own way to use social media, follow Alexis on your social platform of choice. All the links will be in the show notes. Until next time, be a human.